At exactly 2:43 p.m. on a Thursday, my backyard went from quiet suburbia to disaster movie. Picture this, a 20-foot pillar of smoke twisting behind Lot 17 in Cattail Preserve. Neighbors camped out in lawn chairs like it was the 4th of July, sipping LaCroix and recording the spectacle for posterity, or probably for the HOA Facebook group. By the time the fire truck showed up, they sailed right past my charred cornstalks and parked at Marcia's place. Yeah, Marcia, the same HOA president who'd spent the last 3 months stalking my vegetable patch like she was building a legal case at The Hague, now standing ankle-deep in soot with a garden hose, trying to convince the firemen that preventing a fire required, well, starting one. You can't make this stuff up. So let me back up a sec. My name's Derek Lang, and moving to Cattail Preserve was supposed to mean peace and fresh corn, not the kind you get from the store, but the kind you grow yourself, shuck by hand, boil in a battered old pot, and hand out to neighbors because you've got more than you could possibly eat. 48, work in software, not looking for trouble. But you talk to me about drip irrigation or soil moisture sensors, you might want to pull up a chair because I'll bore you to death with numbers and anecdotes. Just ask my ex-wife. My backyard mini cornfield? Totally legal, double-checked the covenants, called my lawyer buddy Jeff, and even highlighted the pages for good measure. But in this neighborhood, there's always someone watching, someone who lives for the rules, who tapes her badge to her shirt like it's armor. That someone was Marcia, self-appointed queen of Cattail Preserve. She wore her authority on a lanyard, measured mailbox heights for fun, ran a side hustle selling compliance mugs with gems like World's Best Rule Enforcer, and had somehow outlasted her predecessor after a legendary bake sale coup. She once drove a mild-mannered accountant out of state over a debate about grass length. Her poor husband, Ted, mostly nodded in the background, probably daydreaming of escape. The corn started as a lark, 6 rows, maybe 30 plants, after reading about urban farming. By August, those plants hit 7 feet, and I started handing out ears to anyone who smiled. People seemed to love it, except for Marcia. I remember the first time she came by, clipboard in hand, voice like a dentist explaining bad news. Mr. Lang, it's come to my attention you appear to be operating an agricultural enterprise. I told her, just corn, Marcia, and even offered her some. She looked like I'd just insulted her ancestors. The next day, an email blast hit the neighborhood about urgent agricultural zoning violations. She'd circled my corn in Google Earth screenshots and calculated the square footage, 3 pages worth. My neighbors thought it was hilarious. Bob Martinez brought over a beer and asked if I was building a grain silo next. But for Marcia, it wasn't a joke. The official violation letter came, complete with a watermark, accusing me of excessive maize cultivation. She invented a new category, unauthorized agricultural zoning, and called an emergency board meeting. Gary, the treasurer, voted no, but Marcia and Linda, who mostly knit through meetings, outvoted him, enacting a crop height rule overnight. Every morning and evening, Marcia did perimeter checks, tape measure, phone, notes about possible pest activity, health hazard to community. She launched a Facebook group, Cattail Preserve Compliance Watch, posting daily corn updates that got increasingly frantic. Day 18, corn silk emergence detected, entering critical phase. The only people who paid attention were her Wednesday coffee club, who soon started floating rumors I was running a popcorn cartel. Kids were warned not to approach my fence. One day I spotted little Tommy's mom drag him away from his runaway basketball, like my corn might sprout legs, and chase him down. Then it got truly bizarre. At 2 a.m., my motion light caught Marcia crouched in my garden, spreading mothballs. Possums, she insisted, are attracted to corn. She held that bag like it was a holy relic, and I couldn't help but laugh. There I was, in my boxers, arguing about nocturnal rodent defense. I documented everything, emails, photos, each surreal conversation. The Corn Chronicles became my new hobby, just to keep myself sane. She tried to get me on aesthetic violations, then pivoted to safety, citing risk of falling stalks and spontaneous combustion, leaving crop fire printouts in my mailbox. She even roped in a retired firefighter for a guest speech, but the poor guy just shrugged and admitted he'd never seen corn cause a fire in 40 years. By now, Marcia was patrolling with a fire extinguisher, and neighbors were losing patience, not with me, but with her. Mrs. Chun, Sick of Marcia scaring off the ice cream truck, brought out a chair and umbrella for her fire watch. My corn, meanwhile, thrived. Gary from the HOA whispered to save him some for chowder. I posted photos to the community Facebook group, the normal one, and when folks started complimenting my crop, Marcia went into meltdown mode. Then came the infamous Saturday. I was out buying tomato steaks. Marcia arrived with her usual gear and a citronella torch. Maybe she thought she'd prove a point, or maybe she finally snapped. According to witnesses, she muttered and paced the fence line, torch in hand. A gust of wind sent the flames straight into a pile of dead leaves by her own fence. The rest is a blur. Torch dropped, flames jumped, and my backyard became a smoky mess. Tom Richards called 911 and filmed everything, which would later become Exhibit A in the most preventable fire in county history. Firefighters made quick work of the blaze. My corn, not so lucky. 70% gone, but at least nothing structural burned. Captain Rodriguez, the fire chief, wasn't buying Marcia's story about proactive risk mitigation. Then Tom showed her the doorbell footage. Marcia with a torch, the whole comedy of errors in glorious 4K. When the fire marshal arrived, she took one look at Marcia, the torches, the leaves, and said, "Someone better have a good explanation." Marcia's social media posts, including, "Let's make this corn pop fire winking face," didn't help. She was escorted away, babbling about being the HOA president, as if that meant anything. That was just the beginning. Local news ran with it. Neighbors came out of the woodwork with their own Marcia horror stories. The bird feeder ban, the garden gnome litigation, the $3,000 soil deviance investigation, which basically confirmed my dirt was just dirt. The emergency HOA meeting that followed was standing room only. Gary, liberated, cited the bylaws. Criminal investigation equals removal. Even Marcia's loyal coffee crew turned against her when Detective Morrison stood up and confirmed, yes, she was under investigation. The forensic audit was a gold mine, embezzled funds, torches billed as safety equipment, drone purchases, and a vegetable risk assessment matrix. Corn, extreme threat. The soil deviant report became a meme. My insurance claim sailed through. Malicious neighbor arson was, weirdly, covered. The DA didn't hesitate. Arson, trespass, fraud. Her lawyer tried for a plea, but Marcia kept posting blog rants about big corn conspiracies and jury mind control. At the trial, she insisted corn was destroying America, blamed the fire on my gardening, and submitted her mothball log as evidence. The jury barely lasted an hour, guilty on all counts. Her sentencing? 2 years for arson, 6 months for mischief, plus restitution, fines, and a ban from any HOA board. 5 years probation, mandatory counseling, 1,000 hours of community service, ironically, teaching fire safety to kids. The neighborhood erupted in relief. Gary repealed Marcia's rules, refunded her agricultural safety assessments, and, with a little ceremony, handed me a certificate of agricultural freedom. The following spring, everyone planted corn in solidarity. The Marcia Memorial Garden flourished. No rules, no judgment. Meanwhile, Marcia kept digging her own hole, starting blogs, sending legal threats, trying to form a prison compliance committee. Her obsession became a teaching case at law schools. The Cattail Preserve story hit TikTok, true crime docs, even a local theater musical. Every corn day, Tom projects the ring footage for laughs, and someone inevitably leaves a corn cob at the community center in honor of common sense. In the end, all Marcia proved was that one person with too much power and a bone to pick can upend a community, but that, given the chance, neighbors can rally, grow stronger, and build something better. I replanted my corn, and that season's harvest, shared freely, not a single kernel burned, tasted sweeter than ever. Now, I gotta ask, where do you stand? Are HOA rules there to protect or control? Have you ever battled a neighbor with too much authority and not enough common sense? Drop your wildest HOA or neighborhood horror story below and tell me, did justice win out? Or is there still a Marcia lurking somewhere on your street?